Welcome to Brake Check, everyone. We got something a little different going on today.
This is much more in line of what we sort of want to do, or it's closer to that direction.
Definitely, yeah.
So we have an unexpected opportunity to do like a driving look-over review, overly opinionated review of this 2025 Ford Edge SEL. So it's not top of the line.
No, but it's not base either.
No, it has some nicety features.
Yeah.
One nicety feature that I hate is this dial gear selector. I don't like that.
The Maverick has one too. Not a huge fan. Like, you get used to it, but I still don't like it, actually.
I don't like it. I do like it has like this iPad massive sized screen.
You know, I kind of go back and forth on these. I like the size of the screen, but I hate how it's not in the dash. It's almost like they just shoved it into the dash.
I kind of like it.
You kind of like it like that?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people do, but
yeah, I'm gonna start driving. So I've had this for almost a full day now, and there's already some things that I like, some things that I don't like. I don't like the color.
You don't like the red?
I don't like I've had so many red vehicles, maroon vehicles. I'm just tired of the color. I'm just ready for something new. So when they said, hey, I got this loaner car for you, it's gonna be a brand new Edge, I walk outside, I'm like, ugh, come on.
So in terms of the color, I like the color. I like the kind of deep red color. Like, I like the color. I think it's nice.
But as far as driving, like, it's smooth. It's one thing about new cars is people love is like the steering is really tight in this. It's smooth. The gas pedal is smooth.
Yeah.
It's fairly responsive. It feels, and you'll see this when you drive it.
Right.
It almost feels like it has a CVT transmission, but it's not. Because it does shift, but it has that same feel, which I don't like.
It does have that new car feel.
And it smells like a new car.
Yeah, and new car smell.
I do love that smell.
Mm-hmm.
It might be toxic and potentially cause cancer, but it's a new car smell.
Man, I can only hope. Fingers are crossed.
Ow.
But
don't
this,
want cancer.
when I picked this up, it had 42 miles on it. I now have it has 112 on it now. So I've put a good number of miles on it already, and it's been nice. It does have a kind of a cool little feature on the dash. I don't know if we can't see it from any of our camera angles, but on the left side of the dash, the left of the speedometer, it has a little icon, looks like the shape of a car, not this car, but a generic car with green dashed lines on either side of it. And it picks up the lane lines of whatever you're driving on.
Right.
And I tested it out because you see something like that, it's like, don't push the red button. And so I started veering toward the line, and it puts just enough like vibration in the wheel, like you can kind of watch it. I'll get to this line here. The line will turn red on the dash.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and it's like you hit a very light rumble strip.
Right.
And so it's just enough to be like, hey man, you're out of your lane. But not like make you feel like it's jerking the car back like some Subarus do. If there's no lines painted on the ground, those green lines on the dash, they go away. It just stays grayed out.
Okay.
So it actually identifies that there are painted lines on the ground.
Right. But this doesn't have any like the self-driving features like a Tesla does, but Ford does actually have a system to do that. I don't know if you heard about that.
I have not. I know Chevrolet does. It's like Chevy Green or something like that.
Yeah, Ford calls theirs like Blue Drive, if I remember correctly. So on certified highways, it has to be certified highways. So Fords do now have the ability, well, if it has the option, to self-drive down the highway.
Wow. I don't know if this one does or not. I haven't really played with any of the technology. It's still got the plastic on the iPad here.
Right.
One thing that I have noticed when I was driving it home from the dealership, I liked resting my hand on the gear shift, and there's nothing there. And so my hand just kind of rested on this large console.
Right.
A lot of it looks like oversized, cheap plastic.
Yeah.
And there's such large panels of plastic that it makes it pretty obvious that it's like a cheap piece of plastic.
Right.
But like the piece in the middle, the doghouse, if you want to call it that, my hand was resting on it, and I was kind of like tapping to the music, and it feels hollow. It feels like just this big piece of plastic thing that just put over a big hollow area. As the feel that it gave.
Yeah. It is a little plastic. I mean, it's definitely plastically, but I see what you're saying about sounding hollow.
I mean, if you're in a band and you play like a cajon, you could practice your
Yeah.
music here.
I mean, you got to improve your skills every moment you can.
Yeah. Something else that I noticed is it was a really close. You don't notice it unless you kind of look down, but there's this cubby under the iPad, I'll call it, or under the tablet. There's this cubby under here that you can kind of store stuff in.
Right.
And there's a wireless charging pad for your phone. So if your phone is wireless charging capable, you can put your phone down there and it'll charge it.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And so when I put my phone down there to drive to Jason and Jen's house to film our pod, it was charging it, and then I noticed about halfway there, I looked down because I got a text message, and so I saw my screen light up, and it wasn't charging anymore. Well, the pad, they made it extra tall. Like the iPhone, I have an iPhone, it fits width-wise perfectly.
Right.
And they have a little indentation on the bottom down here, so you can kind of like pick your phone back up.
Okay.
But they made it extra tall for taller phones, and as my phone slid up, just from driving or braking, it stopped charging. I already found myself, even though this is a loaner car, like with that nervous twitch where I'll reach down there and like pull my phone backwards every few off.
Just constantly checking.
They're like, right now I just checked it and it slid forward again.
Right.
And I'm just cruising down 60 miles an hour down this rural road.
Yeah. So we're not doing anything crazy.
No. I will say for drivability though, it rides smooth. It kind of has a tight, like a light truck sort of suspension feel. Yeah, I can feel every bump.
Yeah, it's not the most. You would think being a car more dedicated to hauling people, it would actually be a little bit smoother.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I always thought was interesting about Ford SUVs in general was like if it's a car dedicated to hauling people, then it should probably have a little bit more on the comfortable side of the ride. And like Ford cars are pretty comfortable. They used to be. They don't make cars anymore. But the cars are comfortable.
Except the Mustang.
Except the Mustang. But it's definitely not. It definitely does not have a cushy ride.
No.
Yeah, I feel like their suspension team is more focused on like hauling and trucks and stuff like that, rather than like the comfort. And not that Ford vehicles are uncomfortable. Like they're not. They're comfortable vehicles. But they're not as comfortable as I think they could be or should be, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I don't know how much power this thing makes, but like it's nothing impressive. It's nothing that blows me away.
Right. It took a little bit to get up to speed there.
Yeah. Like if you were drinking your coffee and you laid into it, you wouldn't have to worry about it splashing you in the face.
You would just you would just drink a little bit more coffee.
Yeah. It would go from a sip to a gulp.
That's another thing too. I feel like the throttle is very aggressive. So it feels peppy because you get most of the power with little of the throttle. Crossovers kind of are the new minivans in a lot of ways.
It's sort of like if you want an excuse to have a minivan, but you're like, it's not a minivan.
Right.
You buy a crossover, you buy a Ford Edge, which is such a funny name because it is not edgy at all.
That's a good point.
I'm not just talking about the body lines. It's not an edgy car. You have like the Cybertruck is you went over the edge.
Right.
But it's not pushing any boundaries that make you go, oh, that's edgy.
Is there anything about the Edge that would make you think about buying this? Like, is this a vehicle that you would actually consider for yourself?
For me in my life and my considerations, no. It's too bland. It's just too like everything. It's
generic.
predictable.
Yeah.
It's like if I think of a nice new car, this is what I would predict. And so
Right.
there's nothing that stands out like, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is something I didn't expect. Oh, this makes it unique. And I'm the kind of person that I really, really like cars that have something unique or different than everybody else. And like the Tundra is a very well-known platform and a lot of people have them, but you see just driving around, you see so many more like F-150s and Chevy Silverados.
Right.
And so the Tundra still stands out against those.
As a more unique vehicle.
Right. And it's uniquely more reliable.
Right. True. So overall, though, this is not a vehicle for you then.
This is definitely not a vehicle for me because I'm not a 41-year-old mom with 3 kids on 4 soccer teams that need to travel around taking snacks to them.
I will say back here, even if, a family of 5, the legroom back here, it's not too bad. So I guess for the kiddos,
But you're how tall?
I'm 4'11".
So people roughly 5 foot, good legroom in the back. Because I'm 5'10" and a half.
Yeah, if I were sitting on your side and I was like as tall as you two, my knees would not be liking this area
Really?
over here. Yeah.
So-
I mean, like my leg room. But right now for me, it's fine.
Yeah, behind where Richard is, I could see potentially like my knees might be a little cramped back.
You would need a shorter person
So it's a
sitting on that
mid-sized
side.
crossover for families as long as your family is
Short.
2 or 3 people or 5 or younger.
Right. Your family hasn't grown to the point where they can have their own car yet.
I mean, you have good trunk size. I mean, the trunk space is good, but they could probably move the seats back just a little bit
downside
so
is
people
this-
can have
is
leg
this-
room.
This should be like an entry-level SUV or crossover.
Yeah.
But it's priced like the final one you're going to buy.
I agree with you on that. It's priced like it's more than what it is.
What is it, like 43?
It's almost $44,000.
That is ridiculous.
That's too much for this.
Yeah.
Cars have gotten crazy expensive. And like we're talking about, it's a good car, but it's nothing spectacular. Like it's just a car. I watched a car review actually of the new Toyota Camry. And I think what they talked about describes this car perfectly as well. They said basically that the Toyota Camry is offensively normal.
Oh,
And I
That's
think that,
perfectly put.
yeah, I think that's what this is. It is offensively normal. It doesn't do anything wrong. It doesn't do anything great. It's just a good crossover SUV. Kind of like McDonald's. You know what to expect. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's also you're not going to hate it.
And you're going to make everybody around you mad. You're like, what's on the menu, just order it already.
Right.
Your Maverick has more practicality than this and cost half the price.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, the Maverick is an exceptional value for what you get. It is not actually far off from the feature sets of this. Like it has a lot of the same things, minus the tablet melted into the dash.
Housed by cheap plastic that you would have on an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah. But beyond that, it has the majority of everything this has. But it's a truck. And it's a 4-door truck. You can fit 4 people, 5 people in it, and you can haul stuff. It's a good value. The Maverick is a good value. This right now doesn't feel like a good value to me.
I am understanding a little bit more as to why soccer moms speed, because this is a soccer mom car, and I'm doing 40, not to tell on myself, 42 and a 40, and I feel like I'm doing 20.
Yeah. Which is a testament to the ride quality. Like it does have good ride quality.
But if I want to feel like I'm doing the speed limit, I would be going about 60.
Oh, this one's stiffer than the one in the Maverick.
Oh, really?
And also the one in the Maverick has like a rubber ring around it, so it's easier to rotate. This one's stiffer and has more slip. Yeah, I don't like that. That's worse than the Maverick.
I did notice it has a sport button in the middle.
Yes.
I did not attempt that.
So does the Maverick. I have pressed it. Doesn't do a lot. All it really does is make the throttle more aggressive than it already is.
Oh, okay. I will say the front seats, I can't speak for the back with Jen, but the front seats aren't extremely uncomfortable. I like that a lot of people don't pay attention to like the pad that you sit on. A lot of vehicles, they don't really extend very far out, and then you start getting some fatigue in your legs when you're on road trips.
Yeah.
This one goes out almost to my knees.
Right, and I do like that too. My Semi actually doesn't go out very far, which I think is odd. I see what you're saying about the speed. I was doing about 45.
Yeah.
Didn't even realize it.
Right?
No, but it is a very smooth driving car. Like it drives great. It's
Doesn't it feel like it has a CVT?
It does, yeah. Now
Because you can't even notice that it's shifting.
Yeah,
It just feels like it's one continuous.
I was just thinking about that when I was leaving. It's like I didn't even really feel it shift at all. And maybe it does have a CVT, does it not?
No, because I was thinking that it did yesterday when I was driving it, and so I was really, really focused in on whether or not it did, and I could feel it shift.
Gotcha.
When you really pay attention to it.
I mean, I would imagine if you were to. Oh yeah, definitely not a. Yeah.
Now, here's an important question. How are the cup holders?
They're actually pretty good.
Can you
not
fit?
bad.
Can you fit
There's
a
a-
Stanley Cup in there?
There's only two,
Oh, the
and you
Stanley.
It's well, maybe a normal average Stanley Cup, because my Dutch Bros large fits
Yeah.
in there, and it barely pushes in the detent, like sort of the
Yeah, the little springy things that.
the spring-loaded nipple things.
I have a Stanley sized cup at home. We can test
What's
it.
a Stanley sized cup?
Oh, it's just
It's
like
just a
yay
big
big,
cup.
and big
Like
booty.
like a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
What's your soul impression?
My soul impression?
Yeah. Do you feel like you just inherited 3 kids that play soccer?
I feel like I'm taking my wife's car back to her so she can take the kids to soccer. And that's another thing too. This doesn't really have. I would say it doesn't really have any character.
No identity.
I've driven several Fords actually over the years because I used to work at a Ford dealership for, God, like 5 years or something like that. This drives like every other new Ford vehicle, other than like the Mustang, F-150s, things like that. It doesn't really have any character of its own, any soul of its own.
Mm-hmm.
I see it as, I think we would have something more positive to say about it if it wasn't 44 grand.
I agree. If this was a much more reasonable price, I feel that we would think much higher of it.
Just like, no offense, it's yours, but like the Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like grandiose about it. There's nothing spectacular that blows you away about it, except the fact that you have a small pickup truck that is well built by a reputable company.
Yeah.
That is in a absolutely remarkable value.
And that's really what makes the Maverick special. It's what makes the Maverick have its own identity, is the fact that you get so much of a vehicle for such a good price.
Yep.
And so, yeah, but this doesn't have that.
Final thoughts for me. I paid $10,000 less for our 2018 Volkswagen Atlas. It has 3rd row seats with full-grown, almost adults in the 3rd row and middle row with plenty of leg room, driving all the way to California and back.
Right.
It has better features, much more power,
Right.
it's more comfortable seats, and I like the design of my Atlas far more. Like it's an overpriced car that doesn't live up to what its price is.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's designed for just your average grocery getter, and like yeah, it's designed to be just an average good car, but it's priced as if it's a luxury family car, and it's not. I mean,
You can buy a used Viper for less than this.
right. And realistically, it's not a bad looking vehicle. Like it looks nice.
If you're a spy, you just want to blend in and nobody notice you,
Yeah.
okay, $10,000 to $15,000 less, and this would be something that should be considered.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
Now, what about in the context of other vehicles that compete with it that are just as expensive? Because all new cars are gotten really expensive right now.
RAV4.
Yeah.
I would rather
Well,
have
no,
a
that's
Toyota.
a full size.
That's actually a good
Toyota
point. though.
Highlander would be competitive to this.
But that's actually a good point though, because we've been looking at the RAV4s lately because Jen wants to get a RAV4. You can get a mid-range RAV4 like this for about $36,000.
It's about $10,000 less.
Yeah.
And you have the dependability of a Toyota,
Right.
and usually about the same features.
Yeah. It's like, Ford, are you getting a little big for your britches lately? I'm just saying it as I see it here.
Yeah. We will have overly opinionated but honest reviews. Like that's just my impression. It's my impression, and I've never been a loyal. This isn't like a bash on Ford. That's just my impression of this particular vehicle.
Yeah, and I feel like we're being very negative about it, but it is a good car. If you want a Ford, you like the idea of having dealerships pretty much anywhere you go in the country, you like the brand, you like the look of it. If you want this vehicle, there's nothing wrong with the Edge.
It has decent power. It has decent gas mileage. It's small enough to be maneuverable in cities and small roads. So if you don't care about price and you're like, I don't care if people think I overpaid or not, and you just want something that blends in and is relatively comfortable, sure.
If you told me that I like the Edge, I'm going to get the Edge, I'd be like, good for you, good car, enjoy it. Personally, overpriced for what it is.
If you're a car enthusiast, you will want to vomit. How'd you put it? It's offensively
average.
There you have it.
With that, I think we should get back in and go take our exit.
Yeah, let's get out of here and hope that I get my truck and I don't have to drive this thing too much longer.
You guys all have a good one. Like and subscribe and tell your friends.
See you, baby.